Hey everyone, welcome back to the Inside the Den podcast here on WSBC Radio, where each week we take a closer look into St. Vincent Athletics. My name is Andrew Lucuski. I'm joined once again by my co-host Colt Easterling. Colt, we had a couple seasons end this week and a couple begin. How are you feeling?
Feeling good for episode number 4. Hard to believe it's already been a month we've been doing this, but yeah, ready to get into it.
I know, man. It's flying by. And this week we have a bit of a special surprise. Our good friend and one of your fellow sportscasters, Logan Roup, is joining us this week to talk a little bit about last week's athletic competitions. Logan, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course. So we'll get right into it. I'll start us off. The women's soccer team lost last week to Westminster 1-0 in a heartbreaking season ender for them. It ends their most successful season in program history. And while they lost last week, Colt, they certainly have nothing to be ashamed of.
No, definitely not. It was a really good season for them. Being able to reach the semis for the first time in program history, definitely nothing to be ashamed of, and come back next year even stronger.
Absolutely. They finished the season 13-6-1 overall. And in the game last week, Rylan Warner recorded a season-high 14 saves for the team. She put them in a really good position to win. A few players had a couple shots on goal for the Bearcats, but they came up short. And as Colt said, they'll go into the offseason in a strong position to be competitive again, even with the loss of their grad student star, Tanisha Graywall.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be a hit to them, but believe in the recruiting staff that St. Vincent has on the girls' soccer team. There's a lot of young potential.
Yeah, development as well. They'll be ready to go next year for sure.
Absolutely. I'll kick us off with football now, who lost 21-13 to Bethany College, and ending their season at 1-9. Jerry Donker went 18 for 29 on pass attempts for just under 200 yards at 196. Senior Billy Beck ran the ball 20 times for 133 yards, which were both the season high for the Bearcats. He also had a touchdown and a 70-yard bomb to start the game off. Austin Wells had 4 catches for 59 yards, and Keegan O'Brien had 4 receptions for 46. In his last game at St. Vincent College, Wiley Prairie led the team with 8 tackles. Robbie Labuda had a great game as well. He finished the day with 6 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and an interception, which brings his interception total to 4 on the season. And something to note about Labuda was that his 4 interceptions accounted for 75% of St. Vincent's interceptions on the season.
Not bad.
Ball hawk there in the secondary of SVC. Josiah Wyant had 4 tackles on the day. And he recorded the Bearcats' only sack. On the special team side, kicker Adam Koselicki had a historic day on special teams, going 1 for 1 on PATs and 2 for 2 on field goals, one being a 39-yarder and the other a 45-yarder, which is a St. Vincent College record for longest field goal made in program history. No better time to do it in your last game, if you ask me.
Absolutely not, for sure.
What a way to cap off a great career.
Yeah, definitely. And Logan was there with you, not broadcasting the entire game, but Logan, do you have any thoughts to share on the season finale for the Bearcat football team?
I thought, offense and defense, I think the team played well both sides of the ball. I think there were some costly penalties that hurt them at the end of the game that, cost them the win. But, you could definitely tell the coaches were opening up the playbook for one last time this season and leaving it all out on the field. So I think the coaching staff and the team, they're going to take a little bit of time off and they're going to get right back to work because I think they have a lot to prove next season.
I think so too. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot going on with those off-season meetings and training. So we'll move on to men's basketball now, who won their first game of the season 84-68 against Carlo on Friday night. And if you were not there, you certainly missed a good game. Isn't that right, guys?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dev Ostrowski, who we'll have on later in the show, led the team with 18 points on the night for the Bearcats and played 24 minutes. Mike Uzzolino followed him with 13 points on the night and 29 minutes played. The team shot 47% from the floor and beyond three-point line in their opener. And Coach D.P. Harris is now 15-4 in season openers. He seems to be really good at setting the tone for the season with his guys. And the Bearcats will now have a week off before traveling south to take part in the Frankie Allen Tip-Off Tournament, which is hosted by Roanoke. St. Vincent will open the tournament facing off against William Peace on Friday the 15th.
I'm excited to see what happens in that game. I mean, St. Vincent basketball is always something to watch there, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and hopefully Dev will talk a little bit about this, but I think they definitely have some high hopes for this season, guys.
I know they lost some important pieces, and Jaden Gales and some other guys that graduated, but they brought in a whole lot more, so I'm excited to see what they're made of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Logan, any thoughts from Friday night? You called the game.
Yeah, I think this team's going to be even better than last year. I mean, they had a great campaign last year, and this year they're looking for that ring. They're looking for the championship, and a lot of milestones available. I believe Coach Harris is 7 wins away
7 wins
from
away
is it
after
400 now?
400 wins, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's eager to hit that mark, and I'm sure all the boys on the team they're ready to get him to that mark, and keep racking in the wins because they really want it this year.
Yeah, it'll be hard to have a better start than they did last year, but I think that they're focused on the end goal right now, and I'm sure that Dev's going to touch on that later in the episode.
I'll move on to our men's and women's swimming meets now that happened last Friday night against Grove City. Starting with the men, they lost 161-95, which brings their record to 0-4 on the season and 1-0 in pack meets. Their first win of the night for the men came in the 12th event of the night, and it was Liam Randolph winning the 100 breaststroke in 59 seconds. Once again, Randolph won the 200 breaststroke in 2 minutes and 12 seconds, but those were the only St. Vincent men wins of the evening. As for women's swimming, they lost 101-161, which brings their record to 500 on the year and 0-1 in pack meets. They won the first event of the night, which was the 200-yard medley relay, by 0.2 seconds. The team of Fallon Zembiak, Deanna Miller, Emma Martz, and Abby Luskabansky held the Bearcats game on the board early. Rachel Hutchinson also won her first race by 0.2 seconds with a win in the 200 freestyle. Abby Luskabansky won her first individual race of the evening, winning the 50 freestyle with a final time of 24:56. She also won the 100 free, just like last week, earning another 9 points for SVC. The St. Vincent girls' final win came in the 400 freestyle, 400 style relay with a team of Emma Martz, Sarah Alexander, Fallon Zembiak, and Abby Luskabansky taking home first place. This week, especially for the girls, was a game of mere seconds. So going in the future, not necessarily anything they need to clean up, but these meets are going to continually be very close, I think.
Absolutely, and Deanna Miller once again contributing to the team win. It must be good luck to come on our podcast, Cole. Yeah, so athletes, listen up.
We'll wait to see what Tim does next week, but yeah. I like our chances.
Absolutely, yeah.
And both the men's and women's swimming teams will face off against Allegheny on Saturday, November 16th at 1 p.m.
All right, and women's basketball started their season last week, but they lost their first 2 games of the year. First one losing 60-70 against Otterbein, and then losing 49-75 against the 19th ranked Division III school, Baldwin Wallace. In the season opener, Ashley Lippold led the way with 12 points in 24 minutes, and Reese Beagler was right behind her with 11 points in 21 minutes. On to Saturday's game, St. Vincent trailed by just 1 point at the half, 32-31, before Baldwin Wallace pulled away in the second half. That's a pretty good showing for the first half for a team that is
nationally ranked.
Yeah, absolutely. So nothing to be ashamed about there. They did only shoot 16 for 57 on the floor for the day, which I think contributed a little bit to their loss. But if they were to clean that up a little bit, they would have had a fighting chance against this team. They'll be back in action again on Saturday against Marietta for their home opener, so everybody show up for that.
Yeah, we're going to be live, so tune in.
Yep, all right.
Next up, we have women's volleyball, who had another successful week, as they have been this whole year. They swept Geneva College this past Wednesday 3-0 with sets of 25-21, 25-19, and 25-20. They finished the regular season at 13-11 overall and 8-2 in the pack. And this earns them the second seed in the playoffs, only behind the perfect 10-0 Allegheny Gators. Caitlin Staples-Klasnick and Lauren Fox tied for 11 kills apiece. Stacey Ramos and Aubrey Sewula earned 1 ace apiece. Lauren Fox also led in blocks with 4 against the Golden Tornadoes. Vivian Poach had a phenomenal day in the assist category, leading the team by over 34. The next closest player had 34 assists. She had a total of 37. Talk about standing out for the crowd. I mean, that's very impressive.
Absolutely.
37 versus the other players on her team getting just 3 and some others. Stacey Ramos led the team in digs as well with a total of 22, which earned her Pack Defensive Player of the Week. So I think that's her second consecutive week doing that as well. So good for her. There was also a recognition of all our seniors this past Wednesday. So thank you to all the seniors on the women's volleyball team for their continued support. But you're not done yet. You got to beat whoever we play in the playoffs. So we're not entirely sure who they're going to play quite yet, just because I think they're playing games maybe as we speak. But they will play whoever the winner is of the other matchups in the pack Thursday, November 14th at 7 p.m. So that will be here at the Cary Center, so please come out to that as well. The girls need all the support they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. They put themselves in a pretty strong spot this year after starting out just a little bit slow. They've really gone on a tear lately, so hopefully that continues into their playoffs. And finally for me, women's bowling this week finished third in the Brother Pat Lacey tournament here in Latrobe. The team finished second in total pins on the weekend and won 3 games that contributed to their official record of the NCAA and are now 19-9 overall on the season. Prior to the tournament, St. Vincent honored 2 of the seniors on the team, Sabine and Kat. Sabine has been a 4-year member of the St. Vincent College Bearcats, while Kat is just in her 2nd year of the program. They also placed second in the Unicorn Classic, but finished first overall in pins in the weekend. The Bearcats were seeded 1 overall coming into the championship game, but lost to Muskingum University. It was a competitive final game, and the Bearcats have finished second 4 times this season in their tournaments. They are in action next week at the AMCC Round Robin. Colt, the women's bowling team has also run off a few good weekends as of late.
Yeah, absolutely. Unicorn Classic sounds like fun, too.
Yes, it does.
Something to look at in that. Your recap was all the second places. That just shows like how close they are to defeating these really, really good teams as a D3 school, which I think can't go unannounced.
Absolutely, and I think I think the more times you finish second place, I think the more hungry it makes you to finish first one time. So I would imagine that they will be looking to bring home first place at the AMCC next weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have some stuff for next week for some sports that didn't have recaps this week. So both men's and women's cross country will compete in the NCAA Midwest Regional Championship on Saturday. And wrestling has their first event of the season Tuesday, tomorrow, November 12th at 7 p.m. in the Cary Center against Shippensburg University. So another event for you guys to come to.
Yeah. Logan, you have any final thoughts on some of the games that you watched and called this week for our St. Vincent Athletics?
I don't think so. I think I mentioned everything I had to say, but just a quick note on the wrestling. Shippensburg, that's a Division II school. They have some big-time wrestlers out there, but the St. Vincent wrestling team coming off their PAC championship, they're looking to win more, and more, and I think they're going to give Shippensburg a big run for their money.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, they're certainly not messing around.
Yeah, I'd love to have a wrestler on here next week. We'll see what they're
we should.
Excited.
So that's going to do it for our recaps for this week. Up next, we have our interview with Dev Ostrowski from the basketball team. And now we're joined by junior Dev Ostrowski, who's a guard on the St. Vincent basketball team, and he's from East Lyme, Connecticut. Dev, thanks very much for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Dev. So, great season so far. 1-0. Do you have any future expectations for this upcoming season?
Yeah, of course. I think this team is just as good as last year's team, if not better. So I think at least get to the PAC championship and this year win it, and then make a run for it in the March Madness tournament. So we have high hopes for this team, for sure.
Yeah, you have the right to be excited.
Yeah.
And how are these new freshmen and transfers going to be good to help replace some of the guys that you lost to graduation in the portal?
I think they're great so far. We got Javante, who's a freak athlete. He can shoot, he can score, he can defend. We have Max, our point guard. He's very intelligent and he's very vocal,
yes,
which is very important because last year our problem was communication a lot of the time, and so he filled that gap very well. And then we have Matt, the freshman, and he started and he did a great job on Friday, and I think he's only going to go up from here.
So a little bit about the preseason now. It's no secret that DP doesn't mess around.
Mm-hmm.
So what did he do differently this offseason as compared to last one to get you guys ready? If there was any difference at all?
I'd say he stressed a few things, mostly on the defensive end. He likes to say that everything starts on defense because it is true, and so rebounding is probably one of the biggest things he's harped on. And then we're learning right now how to go over and through ball screens, which is like a very small thing, but it's huge because ball screens are happening every possession. Mm-hmm. So being able to play through those and understand where we should be and where we need to be helps us transition to offense when we're in the right positions on defense. And so we did a fair amount of running to prepare for this season.
Cardio is everything.
Cardio is everything in basketball. But he also went about it with more professionalism, because we're out there for, representing St. Vincent, ourselves, and the community. So, every time we're out on the court, we give our 100%. And so I think those are the few things that he said to prepare us for this season. So, yeah.
Just to kind of build off of that, not only was your offensive production stellar, but your defense was a driving force in the win against Carlo. You had 3 steals, 1 block, and a plus-minus of plus 23, which is incredible. Did you do anything specific as an individual or as a team this offseason that helped you and the team have an incredible defensive night on the opening night?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting that you say that. I didn't think I had personally, I didn't think I had a good defensive game. But
it's the more of a good athlete. They're always looking to improve.
Always looking to improve. But I think it goes back to our communication as a team versus last year, and we all are learning, and it's going to be a continual thing throughout the year. But we're learning to play with each other and trusting that each player is going to be where they should be for help and for getting that defensive rebound. But for me personally, I think what I need to get better at is not taking a play off. So whenever I could, and when I got those steals, for instance, I didn't take that play off, and I, pressured the ball and was a pass on defense, and that's what led to those steals. And for me to, I'm always seeking improvement. So for me to get better, I need to minimize the possessions where I'm not as impactful as I could be.
So you mentioned a little bit like not taking a playoff, and so that provoked a thought about endurance with basketball. So it's a high intensity sport,
yes,
and it's hard. Like there's not a ton of sports that compare to that. You guys are constantly moving, you're always running. So 2-part question, sort of, how do you specifically keep your body in shape and healthy, and how do you guys as a team manage that?
Well, it all goes to the preseason. So we did a fair amount of conditioning with Omar, our trainer, our strength and conditioning coach. And for me personally, I'm always in the gym stretching or doing something to prepare my body, and then it translates into the training room too. When I get ice and I get heat, and I talk to the trainers to make sure that my body's 100%. But as the season goes on, things happen. Injuries and your body's sore and this and that. So it's really important that we all as a team stay in the gym with Omar to make sure we have that the longevity we need for the season. So yeah.
This is a question more about the culture of St. Vincent basketball. So when I came in as a freshman, I knew you weren't here, but the basketball team wasn't anything spectacular. We were still good, but nothing crazy. And the crowds were decent, but nothing like they are now. I mean, last season, people started seeing the records. Wow, there's a 0 next to the loss column. Yeah. You guys got up to like 20-some wins with no losses, so the crowds just kept building. The prizes kept getting bigger. Cars, scooters.
Thanks, DP.
PlayStations. So when the crowds get involved like they have been the past 10 or so games, how does that help you as a player?
Oh man, the crowd is everything. It allows you to feel the moment. When you get a bucket and everyone's just screaming for you, there's no other feeling like that. And then when you're on defense and everyone's yelling defense and clapping and making noise so the other team gets distracted, you're so into it. And there's a level of you would think that since everyone's screaming and it's loud and stuff, you'll be distracted, but for some reason that has the opposite effect. At least for me it does. It makes me zone in even more. It makes me focus even more in the moment. And it usually leads to a better execution of what I'm trying to do. So I'm very thankful for the crowds we pull, for sure. Yeah.
How does it compare here and I'm sure I know what you're going to say to the answer. How does it compare here, though, to other schools? Like you guys have traveled. You played in Florida. You play all over the place. How does the home court advantage play here?
Oh, home court advantage, yeah, it's huge. I mean, going away, like there's some teams like going away to Geneva when they have their full crowd and they're screaming at you versus we have our full crowd and they're screaming at the other team. It's a big difference. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we won that Geneva game at home versus why we lost away twice. And that's not everything. There's a lot of things that went into that game, but definitely home court advantage is huge, and I want everyone to know that how much we appreciate that.
That's
good.
Yeah.
What was the transfer portal like, and how did you end up choosing St. Vincent over different schools that you made?
So at the time, I had stopped playing basketball altogether, and DP actually reached out to me and was wondering if I wanted to, go back to school and finish school, and if I wanted to play basketball again. And, DP's very convincing, and
he does have a way with
words. And so he got me here, and I'm very thankful for it, and it's a great opportunity to finish school and to play basketball. So, yeah.
Yeah, so after a big opening night win, do you have a message to the fans for moving forward?
Yeah. Just keep coming to the games, bring in everyone you can, bring your family, bring your friends, because the more of you guys that are there, the better we're going to play. It's simple as that. And plus, you never know if you're going to win something.
Yeah,
you might get called, you might win something.
No, I've been telling my family about the games, and they live almost 5 hours away. So
oh, really?
They want to pull up to one of these games, I'm telling you. So, growing up in Connecticut, how did the basketball influence, and the big basketball influence, I mean, you got UConn close by, how did the culture there influence your decision to play basketball throughout your life?
The culture at UConn, you're saying?
Or just in your state, I should say.
In my area? Yeah. Connecticut's one of those states that you don't really hear much about unless, you go to UConn or Yale. But honestly, I got into basketball by mistake. I just kind of started touching a ball and was just like, this is really fun. And, I'm not bad at it. And at the time, it allowed me to move a lot because versus baseball or some other sports, I love baseball, but I love basketball even more because I'm always constantly moving. I'm always in the play versus, you strike out, you don't get an opportunity for another however long. So that was why I chose basketball because I played basketball, soccer, baseball, and I did cross country too. So I had some sports to choose between. Basketball is the one I wanted out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Dev, I got one final question for you. You can answer personally, and if you don't feel comfortable speaking for the team, then that's fine. But do you guys have an opponent circled this year? Is there somebody that you guys, you want to stick it to a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Geneva.
I figured. I wanted to make sure, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, they're a good team. And... the fact that they beat us in the PAC championship obviously hurts, and that they beat us twice. But in general, their coach is great. He knows how to use his players for sure, and it's a great test for us because the way they run their offense is really complicated. So it makes us all have to be 100% communicative and aware of what's going on. And so it's a great test for us to see if we can deal with a team that knows how to actually move without the ball, because that's the big thing on defense. Just keeping track of where the ball is and then keeping track of where your man is. And if he's moving and the ball's moving, there's a lot that's going on. And so it's a great test for your mind. It's a great test for your conditioning. So I'm looking forward to that game, December 7th. So,
right.
He knows the date.
Yeah. All right, well, we really appreciate your time, Dev. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah,
Congrats
no problem.
on a fantastic game last week. We think it's fantastic. I guess by your standards, you always want to improve. But
yes.
outside looking in, you had a good game last week.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
And thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Yep.
Big thanks again for Dev for coming on the podcast for a little bit to share a little bit of insight on the men's basketball team and his experiences as a basketball player. Thanks again to Logan for hopping on, and Andrew, you're always here, so thanks again.
Yeah, of course. I do want to point out that I think Dev is a little bit humble sometimes. I don't know. He's a heck of a basketball player, man. So I'm looking for big things for him for this year.
No, I enjoyed when he said I enjoy when you ask your question about if you have anyone to look out for this season. He's like, Geneva, I guess, and then he's like, November or December 7th.
He knew right away. He's got that. He's got that circled on his calendar, and I would imagine he's going to have a pretty good performance that week.
Yeah, I have it circled on my calendar too. I'm excited to see what. I mean, they're two powerhouses, so always good basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if St. Vincent pulls that one out, they'll be feeling pretty good about their PAC title championships.
100%.
All right, that's going to do it for our latest episode of Inside the Den podcast here on WSVC Radio. Thanks for tuning in, and join us next week as we recap St. Vincent sports.
Hey there, listeners. I'm Matt Boyer, station manager of WSVC Radio. If you like what you're listening to, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to be notified with all of our newest updates. Every day, one of our shows is releasing a new episode. Stick around and stay tuned.